I'm ready. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. Spicy Bites. Spicy Bites. A show everyone loves. They like it. Listen once or twice. One more, we don't care. Or you'll pay the price. Pay it. Spicy Bites.
Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of Spicy Bites, Surveillance Snackin with Lizzie Stokes. I am your co-host, Sean Greenhalgh, coming at you live from Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm ready to bring the Valentine's Day surveillance content you've been dreaming of all winter. With me, as always, is Andrew Smith, the Senior Manager of Strategy and Market Intelligence at Wasabi. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Sean. Thank you, as always. Fantastic to be back on Spicy Bites for 2024. I couldn't wait.
2024, we're back in. Back in the studio.
Yep.
We're broadcasting again. I'm super excited. Do you have any Valentine's Day plans?
No. Besides sheepishly avoiding my wife because I didn't make any plans or get her anything. So that's where I'm at. Not looking good for me, honestly.
Okay, that's not good at all. But I'll let you off the hook there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also on our panel today is surveillance expert and Wasabi product marketing manager Danny Collins. Danny, how's it going?
Good, Sean. Thanks for having me back on. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're a fan favorite. You did so well last time that the mail that we got, both digital and snail mail, just poured in, and they were like, "We want more Danny." And they really liked the chemistry of the three of us, and I think this is a sign that the three of us, me, Andrew, and Danny, all play hockey. And this is a sign that we should probably start a Wasabi hockey team at some point. Maybe we're too late in the winter here, but maybe next year.
Yep. I'm in. Get some. I think Danny's already designed a couple jersey ideas. So
I've seen a couple cool ones out there. So yeah.
And Danny, you are a hockey goalie. Is that correct?
I was in my past life. Now I strictly emergency goalie situations. I spend most of my time skating circles around Andrew in our Sunday night league. So
okay, so you actually do play out on the ice. You're not.
Yep.
That's interesting because you are kind of a goalie of Spicy Bites, i.e., like when it gets past me, as it does on every episode, and Andrew, like you're just sort of there to save the day. So.
Yep.
And finally, today we have a very special guest, Lizzie Stokes. Lizzie is an industry analyst at ABI Research and is responsible for research within ABI's research's IoT networks and IoT hardware and devices research services. Lizzie covers the video surveillance market, primarily focusing on video analytics and cloud adoption. Before joining ABI Research, Lizzie was Oracle's Senior Business Development Consultant. Lizzie has a master's from the London School of Economics, wow, and a bachelor's from University of Texas, Austin. Welcome, Lizzie.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, go Horns.
That is quite an educational background. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually attended a Montessori school.
Oh, okay.
When I was younger, and I am a graduate of that Montessori school. So
it shows.
Like London School of Economics or Montessori.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
As on my LinkedIn, I think Montessori is like pretty heavily featured. So
okay, good.
I imagine we have similar.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here. With your Montessori experience.
No, it's great. So I was wondering, I'll stop talking now. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at ABI Research?
Sure, yeah. So I'm an industry analyst there, which means that I just develop contacts with different folks in the industries that I'm researching. So, for example, part of my um, research is in video surveillance, obviously. So I reach out to people in the market, do qualitative and quantitative research, and just track really the developments that are happening in the video surveillance market, in addition to other network and IoT markets. ABI Research is a global technology market research firm. We really try to focus on the intersection of end markets and technology providers. So I think this is, I'm excited to share our research with you guys. I think it's super relevant and it should be fun.
Wonderful. We have a very special format today that I'll be introducing right now. So I'm about to unveil this new paradigm that we have for Spicy Bytes.
Revolutionary.
And it really kind of lives up to the Spicy Bytes name. And that joke will make sense in a second when I tell you what the paradigm shift is. So today, I have sent a box of snacks to each of our panelists, and they're all spicy snacks. So intermittently throughout our Q&A, we're going to stop and sample some spicy snacks. We're going to talk about them and see maybe which snack is the spiciest, but also who has the highest tolerance to the spice as well. So just, you have that to look forward to, both the surveillance chatter and banter, but also the spicy sampling that's about to happen. So I'm going to pivot to a serious question, and we'll get to the snacking later. So first questions. Surveillance as a solution. What are some of the major trends in surveillance right now?
Can I add on to that? Oh, excuse me. Can I add on to that before? So maybe, Lizzie, could you give us a little bit of background on what you're seeing from the analyst perspective in surveillance too? Because I think, like, as I've learned, because I haven't really covered this market specifically, surveillance kind of, in a lot of ways, gets a bad rap. But it's also not just about surveillance, right? It's about like data security too, and doing more
Right.
with their data. I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
then maybe Danny, you can chime in. Obviously, you're seeing the market from a Wasabi perspective. You're seeing what our customers and partners are doing, and that might be a great way just to kind of think about the market and the solution overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would say from an analyst perspective, and a lot of our video surveillance research is centered on the fact that net new camera growth has slowed. And so a lot of the trends that we have noticed are a direct result of that trend, different market behavior. Because customers are kind of shifting their focus from buying new cameras to investing in the cameras that they already own. So that means that instead of paying money for a new fancy AI camera, a lot of customers are instead trying to upgrade their existing cameras with cloud solutions like storage or analytics that can be applied to their existing systems. So I think a lot of the different trends around moving past security and maybe seeing cameras as a business intelligence tool is a direct result of customers trying to get more out of their existing systems. So I think that's really the main trend as an analyst that we see and that we see are affecting different areas of this market.
Yeah, I would add on to that. I mean, I see where we see that from our perspective too, and we've kind of been seeing this, not necessarily shift, but increase in hybrid, right? When it comes to specifically cloud, less and less folks, and to be fair, no one wants to rip out and replace their cameras and add them with ones that are already completely built in most of the time. I mean, there are use cases for it, and we're seeing it depending on the business size or the specific area where it makes sense. But a lot more definitely on the enterprise side, we're seeing more of the adding in other applications or different types of software or pieces of storage to that. So instead of purchasing, completely new systems. They're adding on to existing systems for different types of models. And we see that right now with hybrid. There's actually a Genetech, very well-known video management system provider, releases an annual report every year, and they said that, big and bold, right, in their report this year, the future is hybrid. And we've been seeing that too, and it comes from both the cameras that have storage built into the cameras, and they're also leveraging cloud, and then also the traditional, you have your video management system on site, and then adding in cloud storage to it. So I think, we're seeing the same thing as Lizzie is in her research.
Awesome. Thank you guys for the context.
I just want to interject really quickly and mention that one of the trends that I'm seeing in surveillance is that there seems to be like a fleet of drones that follow me around, and I would assume are videoing me, and I don't know what that's about.
Right.
But people should be aware of it and watch out, because it could happen to any of us.
That's why surveillance gets a bad rap right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Sounds like a bad actor.
Yes. See what we did there. I like that. All right, Andrew, take it away with your next question.
Do you want me to do another question, or are you doing snacks?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's snack time. Let's do it. Okay.
All right.
You are so right. I thought there was a sub question. So listen.
Yeah, we can always get back to those. Honestly, like, I opened these snacks and they're on my desk right in front of me. So
Yeah.
Okay, well, here is the first snack that we'll be sampling. It's the Fortune Favors Nuts, the spicy chili spiked candied pecans, and I'm thrilled to see what you guys all make of these spicy pecans. Yeah, just have at it. Why don't you hold up the cans there for the looking great. Yeah, please go ahead and sample. First impressions, what comes to mind? Pretend you're a sommelier of.
while you guys are enjoying these cans, I do have a follow-up question. And it's kind of along the lines of what Sean was joking about, but also related to like the security aspect of surveillance. I think what I've learned looking at this market over the past few months is that the surveillance market in general, like, I would classify them, if you have leaders and laggards in the cloud space, I would classify a lot of surveillance use cases as like laggards, right? This is typically workloads that are deployed on premises, data that's highly secure to the business, might be confidential. And I think there's security and performance requirements unique to the surveillance industry that not prohibits migration of those workloads to the cloud, but makes it extremely complex. Is that, Lizzie, is that what you've experienced kind of doing the research assessment on this market?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And that's something when I would speak to different people in this market, that's kind of a bad rap that, surveillance folks would get, is that they're a bit archaic and slow to move. And I think it's a bit of an unfair assessment, probably because a lot of the footage that these users collect is really sensitive to their business. It's a security tool. And so they're really worried about messing with a system that could potentially lead to lost footage or a security event not being filmed. So I think that's most of our research in terms of surveillance, the sentiments that surveillance users have had to do with actually moving from wired to wireless cameras. So it's not necessarily, we weren't really documenting their cloud journey, but in a very similar sense, these customers, even though maybe sometimes Wi-Fi cameras or a cellular camera might have made sense for them, they were not willing to do it because they didn't want to risk an interrupted connection. So very similar in the way that maybe customers are a bit hesitant to move to the cloud for certain reasons. I understand that this is, like you mentioned, a really particular market that has a lot of different security elements to it, and people are, I think, justifiably a bit hesitant to disrupt a system that's been working for them and their security needs for a while.
Got it.
Yeah, I would also say too that, sorry, the nuts too.
I know.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to talk. The market or the space itself, with the release of the IP camera, previously it was analog. You're now seeing this intersection of traditionally just having like siloed security departments and then IT departments, and now because cameras are over the network, that intersection has become a lot tighter, and sometimes you'll see IT departments completely managing all security footage, and sometimes depending on how large the organization is, you'll see both, and both IT players and security departments still in the mix when it comes to those decisions. So I think it's, you're starting to see the cloud journey, but also just the kind of the IT piece of it catch up to the security market, because it was very far behind because of the separation. But now, since everything is really over the network and there's so many different technologies that are involved, IT does play a large role, and I think we're starting to see the market and the space rapidly catch up to other areas in technology.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of laggards, these pecans are laggards in the spicy department, Sean.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we gonna rate these on a scale?
Yes. Yeah. So
Oh.
I want some feedback. What is first of all, do you like them? And second of all, what would you give it on a spicy scale?
Of like 1 to 5, 1 to 10,
Let's say 1 to 10.
10 being the spiciest.
Yes.
All right, these are delicious, but on a
Yeah,
spicy scale, they get like a 2.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, 2.
Wow, that's bold.
Okay. All right. What do you guys have?
So I just want to preface this by saying I am a 2-time spicy wing challenge champion.
Wow.
So my heat scale is a little skewed. I don't know. I would give it like a 3 or 4.
Okay.
Definitely on the lower side. It has a little like sneaky heat to it.
Yeah.
Comes back in, but it's really good. I mean, it's salty and
delicious.
sweet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could jump on those all day.
Yeah, I think they're really delicious. I would say about 3.5. So I'm not as strong as Andrew, but they're not too intimidating.
Thanks,
They're very
Lizzie.
good.
I think it's interesting that the heat kind of specialist, Danny Collins, rates them higher than Andrew, which makes me feel like, Andrew, you rating them as a 2 is you're trying to hurt my feelings. Like, you're like,
It
like
was a
you get the
personal.
sentiment, why did you send me these? They're not even spicy. And that hurt because I put a lot into this.
I know I've got high expectations for spicy bites, and when the
I guess so.
He's just gonna send you like different peppers next time.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to go up the scale in peppers.
Yeah, this is I'll remember this.
the whole habanero pepper.
Okay. Well, I think that's our first. Good job on the spicy rating. I think it's time for another hard-hitting surveillance question from Andrew.
Yeah, so we talked about overall market, kind of some of the challenges in shifting to cloud and how the market is evolving. The next, I guess, every organization wants more out of their unstructured data, whether it's documents, video, audio, any type of media, right? And I think the same is true for surveillance. So I'm wondering what you guys are seeing in terms of the interesting use cases that organizations are applying video surveillance data to. Like the obvious one is like physical security and facility security and monitoring of assets and maybe like some logistics or supply chain. But what about, like, are there ways that organizations are looking to implement more advanced analytics alongside their surveillance data? Or are they keeping their surveillance data longer so they can process it and use it to improve manufacturing processes like anomaly detection? You know what I mean? The kind of like cool stuff that's innovative in the surveillance market?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just from my research, I do, like you mentioned, a lot of the use cases are still around security. I would say the majority of users still use their cameras primarily for security purposes, but I do think it's early days, but we are still in the research finding a lot of interest in those operational use cases that go beyond security and really incorporate different, like you mentioned, quality insurance use cases or HR use cases even. I think some of the more interesting ones that I've seen come from retail. And I do think this is dependent on whether the company has the right applications or the right cameras or even the right, cloud setup for analytics. But I think the retail use cases are really indicative of how video can actually make a company money rather than just being a passive thing that people collect because of certain sort of regulation. So, for example, I think when using the right application or right SaaS solution, a company, a store could track how many people are in line and how long those people stand there, or they can track the success of a different product location depending on whether more customers walk by it or not. So I think those are super advanced use cases. Obviously, I don't think they're very popular yet, but I think they are emblematic of this shift that customers are experiencing of how can I use these cameras that I've already purchased in ways that could actually make me money rather than just sitting on it and having to store it and essentially letting this footage go unwatched. So I think some of those use cases are gaining popularity. I wouldn't say they're implemented yet, but people are looking at them, I would say.
Yeah, and I would say too that there's a kind of talking back to what you were asking about, like the retention piece of it too. There's a fear of deletion, not only because you have to keep it for a certain amount of time based off of certain regulations, but what happens if someone comes around 1, 2, 3 years later with a claim that something happened and now you're liable for that, and if I already deleted it, now I don't have the ability to. So it also, like, going back to like the money making piece of it, a lot of the time organizations think of their security departments as just cost centers. But if you have these cameras up and the security departments are doing their jobs and have these analytics that they can they can pull back video and look and search for different things. I mean, if someone comes in and claims slip and fall incident, and you have the ability to show that they were just making it up.
That's my side hustle.
Yeah, like, John, I thought I saw your headshot around on a lot of grocery stores. Like, watch out for this man. Slip and fall, serial slip and faller. Yeah, so if you're in a store or whatever and claim that, and if you don't have the stuff to back it up or the evidence to back it up, your company could be out millions of dollars, yeah. Right? So you're actually saving the company money for different areas like that. So I think there's that aspect of it too. And like Lizzie said, I think everyone has that. They're starting to see what they can do with this video. I think the majority of it now and company years into the future is still primarily going to be security and public safety use cases. But we're starting to see like cool things done with environmental monitoring and retail, like Lizzie mentioned, and manufacturing, reading numbers off pallets and quality control and all that kind of stuff. So really cool use cases, and each year we go to ISC West and we start to see different use cases pop up and different things that people are doing. So we're excited to do that again this year.
Awesome. I do have a follow-up question. I'm just kind of like going off script. Yep. But Sean, do we want to do another snack, and then I can ask the follow-up question while they're chomping?
Yeah, let's do another snack. Now we've got the hot pepper vinegar kettle chips, and pretty excited about these. Hopefully they'll meet Andrew's approval.
Sean, no, you didn't send us was like a gallon of milk that we have.
And that was a big mistake.
Leave us high and dry.
I kind of a first run through. We'll get to those details next time.
All right. While you guys are eating these hot pepper vinegar chips, both of you guys have mentioned like organizations wanting to do more with what they already have and maybe augmenting that with cloud solutions or services, which I think is totally logical from a kind of enterprise standpoint, budgetary standpoint. So as we think about the use cases expanding, how does that affect like the number of devices that organizations need in terms of cameras or like the attached infrastructure or systems to support them, but also the like bit rate and quality of video needed, right? So is it kind of like, I guess what I'm asking is, in surveillance, do we expect devices and quality of video to continue on this like exponential curve upward? And does that pose a challenge, or are there like, smarter ways that organizations are doing compression or capturing video and storing it for longer that are like a more sustainable approach? That's, like I said, this is kind of completely off script. So just be like, Andrew, that's a stupid question, move on. Or maybe you guys are actually seeing, or maybe you guys actually are seeing companies do interesting things to like make this a more budget friendly, sustainable technology as there's increasing demand.
Yep. No, I think that is a good question. And in our last report that we did was a lot about the different drivers that are bringing customers to cloud storage. And one of them was the fact that cameras are increasingly improving their resolution. So that makes the data loads that the cameras are producing heavier and are more costly to store. And obviously, if you're using these cameras down the line for more business operations and business intelligence use cases, you want that resolution to be good because you want it to pick up on the insights that you're trying to. I think that's probably going to increase the need for something that's scalable, like a cloud storage solution that can really handle those heavy data that those high quality and high resolution cameras are producing. I have seen some companies, kind of split their storage. So if they detect a certain motion in their video, that will go to a different storage place that maybe needs to be like more retrievable than footage that detects no motion, and that will go somewhere else. So trying to split up and trying to really detect which video is worth keeping and which is a bit more valuable. So I do think there are some things people are doing to really manage that amount of footage and trying to siphon it off depending on if there's something is detected or not. But I do think that the improvements in resolutions are kind of impacting customers, and I feel like sometimes they can be drowning in footage and not really know what to do with it.
Yeah, I would agree. We're seeing, some customers group by cameras. So, with our solution, they can say, I want, cameras A, B, and C sent to the cloud, and the rest are on site or vice versa. We've seen you can actually split, resolution streams. So have a high res stream go to local and a low res stream go to the cloud or vice versa. I think I agree that, with resolution, with frame rates, all of the different variables that go into the cameras, it's impacting the storage on the back end for sure. And I think kind of storage is the last thing that organizations actually think about, when it's almost like, I like to think of it as like you go out and buy like a brand new truck and you come home and it doesn't fit in the garage. Like you got to kind of think about like, I need to make sure my garage is big enough to have my new car in it, my new truck. So it's like kind of the same thing. Like I'm going to go out and spend all this money on cameras and all this like new tech and stuff like that. But then my infrastructure I have can't support it. And now I have to go out and even purchase something even more expensive, right? A whole new garage. So
Wasabi the garage in this scenario.
yeah, Wasabi's the garage, right? So it's like, you know, Wasabi can be like your two car, your third car garage or something that you're adding on, right? So something that can sustain really the amount of data that's being generated. So, and I think too, like bandwidth, you know, costs are decreasing, and you know, bandwidth like technology is, you know, that's why people are moving to the cloud now, and why you're seeing, so like cloud wasn't a thing before, because you didn't have that bandwidth capability to get up there. But like a lot of the solutions out there too have the ability to schedule time, so you're not using bandwidth during peak business hours, and that kind of stuff. So there's right now that you can get around it too while it gets better. So
The great thing about a garage is that, you know, you can put all sorts of stuff in there. You can put your garbage cans, you know, your old sporting goods. You can hang up a bike upside down from the ceiling there.
Yep.
You know,
You can put your bag full of other bags in the garage.
yeah, you can put your bags of bags, another fridge for drinks.
Yep.
Right.
A small area basically that you can use for anything. And in a similar way, Wasabi, you know, you just take that data and just boom, garage it, you know?
These get like a 0, Sean.
Okay, I thought so too.
yeah,
They're more vinegary than anything.
There's no spice.
you know, honestly, I would say take it like your traditional salt and vinegar chips. I would just say like better tasting for
Yeah,
that.
they still taste fine, but they're not spicy.
It tastes great.
Just not spicy. But yeah,
Wow. All right. Okay. Fell there. Got it.
it's all right.
I just wanted to add on that there are a lot of parallels here with the home gaming system. You know, you got your Super Nintendo, your Nintendo that came out in, you know, 1987. It's at 8-bit. Then you got your Sega Genesis. That's 16-bit. And you go to 32-bit, whatever the hell that was. And then, you know, Nintendo 64. And it just goes and goes until, you know, now video games are like, it's like real life. And these are the highest resolution files that we have. And where does this all end? You know?
It's a good question.
I think it's more of an open-ended rhetorical question for the audience at large than, you know, you guys need to answer.
Yeah, definitely rhetorical. Yeah.
Well, next serious question from Andrew.
I think so I might merge kind of two of my questions together. One is around the different use cases we're seeing. I'd be curious on what you guys are seeing by industry. Like obviously the surveillance use cases can vary, like whether it's state and local government, law enforcement. Maybe what are some of the industries that are most prevalent today, and which industries might have use cases that kind of drive the market forward in the future? Like Lizzie, you already kind of talked about retail, but then dovetailing with that question, like are there any big variances by industry? Like, are we going to see a massive growth in retail's use of surveillance or something like that? I just want to dive more into the details, because from the object storage perspective, industry perspective, it's like there isn't that much difference among different industries, right? From a storage perspective, everybody needs storage. Some people have different performance characteristics in their storage and what type of service or solution they want. But I feel like from an industry perspective with surveillance, there's really different security and compliance parameters, and there's really different use cases when we think about industry and like who might be driving the future of the market.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that there are different verticals need different things. In terms of what market is driving this innovation forward, I really do think that, you know, besides retail, a lot of the industrial use cases for quality and assurance are pretty cool, and are maybe those industries are more capable of investing in the systems that they would need to really implement something like a really advanced video analytics solution. So, for example, some of the use cases in manufacturing where you can train a program to recognize a business's specific product, and a camera can therefore recognize what a defective product might look like on the factory floor, and then be able to adjust the production process if a defective product is spotted. I think those use cases are interesting and might be a bit more influential and convincing people what machine vision can do. Maybe, the retail use cases are really cool, but a bit more enterprise focused, where industrial companies, I think, could get a lot of benefit from something that, an AI-based video system that can really be tailored to their own specific products. I think that would drive the market forward. And I think in terms of different industries, I think the different regulations with different industries is something that is really important in the video surveillance market. Like, there are certain industries that are just more populated with regulations than others. So, for example, like financial institutions, or obviously government institutions, or like Danny and I were speaking about the cannabis market. Those are industries that are super regulated in terms of their surveillance requirements, whereas retail maybe not so much. So I think those differences play a key role in how those industries adopt video surveillance and adopt cloud solutions, for example. They might need them a bit more than other industries, I think.
You mentioned machine vision, and I think, does that relate with computer vision? And maybe could you spend like 5 seconds or 10 seconds defining that, mostly, for our audience? I know that this is like it's becoming a big term, right? And I think a lot of analyst firms are like are promoting the computer vision and machine vision as a use case for enterprises and what it means for the future of the market. Sean?
Hold that thought. Let's go to the chocolates, and then
okay, perfect.
Ots, spicy dark chocolate, crispy oatmeal cookies. I didn't know that you could have spicy chocolate, but I'm open to hearing about it. Nice crunch. We got some.
I
Nice
can't believe you didn't get snacks for yourself.
I know.
It's like,
we're on a tight budget here at Spicy
weird
Bytes.
that you're just watching us.
Yeah, very convenient.
I also want to add to my resume that I did work for a hot sauce company too when I was in college. So,
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yep, the General's hot sauce out of Columbia, South Carolina. I want to shout out.
Well, we should have had you supply all the spicy foods.
Yeah.
These are good.
These are really good.
Huh?
There's a bit of a spice.
Is this going lower than the pecans then?
I would say lower than
Yeah, lower.
pecans.
Yeah,
Higher
like
than
a 1
chips.
or a 2 as well.
One or two. Yeah.
I am shocked. This is out of nowhere. This is
Your poor guests for the next episode are going to get like the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize so far. Hopefully the
No, it's
Y'all are
okay.
good.
snack is going to really blow everyone away. But sorry, go ahead. I interrupted, Andrew. Could you quickly reframe your question?
Yeah, can we what is computer vision, machine vision, and kind of how does it relate to surveillance?
Sure. So a lot of my research doesn't necessarily include machine vision, so I'm not sure if I'm like the best person to define it. But in terms of how it relates to surveillance, I think the machine vision component of this is more about the algorithms that go into training a video system to spot a specific product or object. And I think we're, in terms of how the definitions of video surveillance, machine vision can kind of blend. Obviously, cameras are really integral into a machine vision system that would need to identify a particular object that it's been trained on. So again, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to define it, but I do think, cameras are obviously important in those use cases. And I think that's maybe why it's used interchangeably and sometimes become a big term within the video surveillance market. But if somebody else on this call has a different, more specific definition, please, by all means,
Well,
correct
Danny,
me.
I think Danny, I think you've been getting deeply involved in like computer vision use cases too, right?
Yeah, a little bit, and we're starting to see it more and more. I think, like right now, you know, we have the cloud transition going on. I think, like, of course, the buzzword right now is AI and everything. I still don't think like it's still. I think even earlier than cloud. Like I think everyone's talking about it, but not a huge direction on where it's going, the capabilities, that kind of stuff. I mean, the analytics piece of it is very interesting, and the training models, but I mean, there's still so much to go. I think too, like it's very interesting the fact that like these capabilities can predict and show different elements, and it kind of takes away the human aspect of it. But you know, all the critical decision making and everything like that, right, is you need a human. I mean, obviously it's not a big scale, but like
Thank God.
I have a you know, a camera, you know, from a certain large company retailer at my house, you know, and it'll send out like alerts, you know, from the doorbell all the time that it sees something, but
Right.
you know, it's just, you know, the wind or like a leaf or a bug flew by or something like that. But you know,
Chupacabra.
right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like I think those capabilities are super interesting, and I think you'll see them develop more and more. But I still think it's very, very early on in everything.
Okay. All right. Do we want to do last question, last snack?
Last question, last snack.
All right. Last snack is the Nacho Inferno. Super
Well,
nacho.
I'm really hoping these are going to be like
Yeah.
spicy because it says Inferno. I was saying to Lizzie before this.
Exactly.
When I hear Inferno, you know, I'm thinking hot. So
Yep.
is this marketing?
I think that's just barbecue chips. No.
These are a little spicy.
They are. They got a little kick to them.
These are the
Lizzie is
spiciest.
so deeply unimpressed right now. She's amazing.
These are like edging up to a 4, I think.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Keep eating them.
I would say they're a little spicier than the nuts.
Okay. All right. So we got to a 4. So the ranking is going to be Nacho Inferno on top, followed closely by the pecans, and then perhaps the dark chocolates with hot pepper vinegar chips coming in last.
Yep.
And this is not how I thought this was going to go. I thought there was going to be a lot of like wincing and maybe some tears, because that would have been for a great virality for the video. But
Right.
you know, you live, you learn. We'll take this and move forward. It's a big opportunity ahead of us here. Andrew, you want to go ahead with your last question?
Yeah. Well, could we? I want to put Lizzie on the spot to wrap up for us. Just kind of thinking about like your future thoughts on the market, but also how it relates to your research, like what you're focused on, maybe recommendations on what we, you know, how that relates to what we should be thinking about in terms of the market, in terms of surveillance as a use case. Would love to know, like, you know, from the analyst perspective, what's on the horizon for this market.
Sure. Yeah, so I think, you know, one of the most recent pieces that we did was about how the revenues associated with video surveillance will change as less customers buy net new cameras. So I think that trend will really affect everything else in the market, kind of like I said at the top of the call. I think we can expect, you know, not necessarily right now, but in the future, that customers will spend more on analytics, on storage primarily, I would say, and then far below analytics, and then some applications that promote those analytics. So a lot of these different, and I think this is different, obviously, than what video surveillance looked like before. The most expensive investments customers were making was on the hardware itself, and then on the integration and the implementation of that hardware. And so now that customers are buying less hardware and they're buying less cameras, they're going to shift their investments to storage, analytics, and applications that support both of those things. So obviously, people are still buying cameras. I think they still remain incredibly important tools to honestly most every business in some form or fashion. But I think in the next 10 years, you can really see customers shifting their buying patterns in terms of their video surveillance tools and what they want out of them, and what they're willing to invest in, I think.
Okay. That's actually, yeah, that's super cool. Thank you for the perspective. Not something I had really thought about.
Yep. Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how these buying patterns and how they'll affect different areas of the market, and if it'll lead to the cool use cases that Danny and I have spoken about. Obviously, those are not necessarily things people are implementing today, but we'll see which ones actually turn out to be useful and which ones turn out to be kind of just hype. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And maybe if there's a new use case around, like, I don't know, surveilling Sean
Right.
specifically, right?
We'll report it. We'll be the first ones to let you know.
Then we can have a whole like market size for that one opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to take video of the drones taking video of me, and
Okay.
I'll cut it together for the next one.
Well, that'd be good.
Okay.
Well, this has been an incredible, I would say, a huge stepping stone for Spicy Bytes in terms of the snacks, really. But also, Lizzie bringing her expertise.
Yeah,
it was
for
wonderful
sure.
to have you.
Thank you.
I really am getting tired of Andrew and Danny, so it's been a breath of
Right.
fresh air, frankly, to have somebody with your kind of expertise
Right.
on with us.
Happy to
And,
help.
I hope that you would consider coming on again. We'll have better snacks next time.
Yeah, only if that's guaranteed.
Yep. Oof, okay.
Just kidding. They were good. They were good.
Only if it's Spicy Bites on ice.
Yeah, right.
We'll
Yeah.
have hotter snacks. We'll be on ice, and we'll have milk. We'll bring milk next time.
Great. Can't wait. I'll be there.
That sounds terrible.
Andrew, you want to wrap it up for us?
I think we're wrapped.
Wrapped.
Yeah, I think we're
Andrew,
good.
I want to make a quick plug that Andrew and I will be at ISC West this year.
Yep.
So if you want to come talk all things cloud storage, Wasabi, video surveillance, and then we're also trying to convince Lizzie to go too. So might see her there. So yeah, definitely stop by April 9th.
Yeah, come see us for all things surveillance and Wasabi. That'll be perfect.
All right. We did it all. We said it all.
Thank you again for the snacks, Sean.
Thanks
Yes,
again.
they were good.
To Lizzie, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Danny. And have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
See you later.